right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hello and welcome into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood, and I'm joined alongside the one, the only, Brian Batko, Steelers insider. We love having him on the show on a day like today when media was allowed to be over at Steelers rookie minicamp. Brian, first and foremost, how are you? I feel like it's been a while.
It has. I'm doing great, Cassidy. How are you?
I'm great. I'm ready to talk some Steelers because, look, we've been going back and forth about this Aaron Rodgers saga the past 48 hours, but today a little bit of new news with getting to see these rookies in action for the first time. So
let's bring him out now. Here he comes, Aaron Rodgers.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be insane. He decides to make his announcement here on the
ratings through the roof.
Could you imagine? Oh, that would be so great. Aaron, please actually come do that. That would be great. But yeah, you got a chance to see all these rookies in action for the first time with Mike McCarthy and that coaching staff. Just first and foremost, Drew Aller, only QB over there, only rookie QB, obviously, that the Steelers have. So getting a lot of one-on-one time with Mike McCarthy. Just how did you see him kind of gelling with Tom Arth, too, quarterback coach, and McCarthy?
Yeah, I mean, Drew Aller, he was getting a lot of work today, that's for sure. And generally, they bring in at least one other arm for these rookie mini camps. It tends to be a tryout guy or someone like that. But Mike McCarthy wanted to take a long look at Aller, and he really was. I mean, he was in Drew's back pocket for a lot of the day when I was watching at the start of practice, and certainly Tom Arth heavily involved there too. Brian Angelico, the offensive coordinator. So that whole brain trust working to develop the rookie third-round pick out of Penn State, and Aller saying all the right things after practice about how he's trying to be a student of the game right now and build from the ground up, learn this offense that Mike McCarthy has had really good quarterbacks thrive in. So we'll see where it goes. I certainly can't make any determinations about a guy after a couple hours, one practice in early May, and I don't think the coaching staff can either, but they liked what they saw in the pre-draft process, and now begins the next step of that process, which is coaching them up.
Yeah, I mean, had to battle back from that scary season-ending injury. So it does feel like the past few months, the combine and his pro day leading up to this, he's really worked hard to rehab back. And so it's nice to see him obviously out there again. Now, McCarthy did mention that, hey, look, if we have four quarterbacks, he sees that as a positive thing. Do you actually think there's a world where they keep four QBs on this roster?
No, I don't think so. I think he meant more for training camp purposes, and obviously the fourth would be Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, if last year's any indication under Mike Tomlin, Aaron's going to practice a lot, and he's going to be absorbing a lot of the reps in Latrobe. Maybe McCarthy will do things differently. Maybe it just will behoove the organization to do things differently if you've got two young guys in there who you want to develop and give, put some more on their plate, essentially, in practice. But it's also ultimately about winning games. And if you're bringing back 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, you kind of need to push all your chips into the plate of trying to win games. And to that end, it would be get on the same page with your wide receivers, both the returning guys from last year who are learning a new offense, as well as the new guys who are not just learning a new offense, but learning what it's like to be a Steeler and play with Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the purpose of him being here this weekend? Because, look, we know he's here. I mean, it's a given he's here. We've had so many reports that he is here. So at this point, I'd be completely shocked if he wasn't actually here. But then my follow-up question is just why? Why would he be here if it's not to be over at the South Side and hanging out with these rookies or talking to the team? Jerry Dulac reporting today that no one from the Steelers has communicated with him. So, I mean, did he just come back to hang out with, some players that could potentially be in town? Or why do you think he's even here?
I don't know, Cassie. Maybe he left the garage door open back in January and wanted to address that. So, no, I mean, it is a strange situation. And, somebody asked me, why would he be in town but not, at the facility meeting with the team, at least as far as we know. And I don't know how to answer that. It's Aaron Rodgers is really the only explanation that I can give. The documentary about him on Netflix is called Enigma. It's not called As Expected or Solution. So this is what you sign up for when you do business with Aaron, and I think ultimately the Steelers still feel like it's headed toward the outcome that they expected, even if it might be taking a little bit longer to get to that outcome than they thought at the outset.
Yeah, I think it's just funny because I just remember Omar Khan telling us a few months back that it was not going to be like last year. We would get an answer sooner than last year.
And technically, it's not yet because
but
he signed
it
mandatory
also
minicamp last
weird.
year.
Like I keep saying it, but it does feel weird for him to come in and sign a contract before all of these mandatory offseason workouts when he is entering his 22nd year in the league. I mean, he's been playing in the NFL for over 2 decades. The dude doesn't necessarily, and he's 42, I mean, he doesn't necessarily need to be exerting his body and putting his body on the line in these mandatory workouts before training camp even starts. So in my mind, it would make more sense if he is going to sign to maybe do it closer to training camp and not, so far out like this. So even when the reports first started that he was maybe going to come this weekend, maybe meet with the Steelers, maybe sign a contract this weekend, I just thought it was weird from the jump. Like, I just didn't understand why now.
I think when activities are optional at this juncture of the NFL calendar, Aaron really takes that to heart. It is optional. It is voluntary. You need not be signed to the team at that point, and even if you are, you don't need to be there for those team functions. And, I think teams certainly love to have perfect attendance if they can, but GMs and coaches are not naive to the idea of veterans, especially some of the higher profile ones, doing their own thing this time of year until they are obligated to be there. So I assume that's part of it. As far as the money, that's another kind of unanswered question here. I know a lot of people are trying to fill in the blanks of kind of what you were asking, Cassidy, if he's here in town, but his agent is doing a lot of the legwork. Does that mean that it is about money? I mean, let's be honest. Everything in life's kind of about money at some point, right? At the end of the day, and just how much it is for Aaron and the Steelers, that's what we don't know at this point.
Yeah, what do you think it is? Like, I was hearing maybe around 18 mil with like incentives, upwards of like 23. So definitely more than last year, which also is kind of interesting considering, I mean, he took him to a playoff game, but it was a very beat up AFC North. Yeah, they won the division, but it was pretty beat up. And I don't know. It's just, it'd be interesting if money were really the issue here to me.
Yeah, I don't know ultimately what he's going to end up playing for or wanting to play for. I think from the Steelers' perspective, I mean, yes, they're intrigued by the idea of Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback again, and they were last year, but beyond just him as a player and what he brings as a leader, I think a part of the equation is just how affordable he was and looks to be. I mean, it's sort of a market inefficiency when you can get a rookie quarterback on a cheap deal and build your team around him. They don't have that guy right now in this franchise for the long term, so they're kind of reverse engineering it to get a veteran quarterback who is cheap and on a deal like that. They did the same thing with Russell Wilson a couple years ago, so I think it's kind of hard to extract that from the overall idea of bringing Rodgers back.
Yeah, agree with you there. All right, guys, this is our Penn West University question of the night. Which Steelers rookie are you most excited to see? Is it Max? Is it Jeremy, by the way? Not pronounced Jeremy like I originally thought, but it is Jeremy. Drew Aller, Jennings Dunker, or Eli, of course, the local kid fan favorite. I want to talk to you about Eli too, Bri. When we come back after the break, though, give us a call, 412-575-2600. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Steelers insider Jerry Dulac. From sources, Aaron Rodgers has been in town for a couple days, but the Steelers have not met with him yet and instead have been talking with his agent. Rodgers has stayed away from the team's Southside facility while the 3-day rookie minicamp has been going on. So, very interesting. Like Brian and I were talking about in that first segment, find it odd that Rodgers is here in town this weekend yet not communicating with the team and instead having his agent talk to them, which, like we said, begs the question, is it about money?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's weird that he's not there during the rookie camp. I mean, he's not signed to the team. I mean, they're not going to bring him in as a guest speaker. He's the projected starting quarterback for 2026, but you can't turn that projection into reality until he actually signs on the dotted line, and I still think that's going to happen. But you mentioned in the first segment, Cassidy, that we were all kind of told by Steelers brass that this wasn't going to be as protracted of an ordeal as it was this time a year ago, and it hasn't been yet, knock on wood. But it has been a little funkier as far as, the unrestricted free agent tender getting thrown out there. And, Aaron's own appearance on the Pat McAfee show a while back saying that there hadn't been an offer made by the Steelers and, that there hadn't been progressive conversations. So it is kind of yet again a game of, where's the truth here? Is there semantics involved? Yeah. I think it'll all be wrapped up sooner than later, but I don't blame anybody who's got some fatigue over the whole deal.
Oh yeah, 100%. And with that fatigue, let's go out to the phone lines. We have Bob in Beachview. Hi, Bob.
Hi, are you calling, Bob? I heard a static.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, you don't want Rodgers around right now. Look how hard they're working with the two brand new guys, and the guy above them is Mason Rudolph, who you know all about anyway.
Right.
So they're getting a lot of good coaching time, and Rodgers is not a distraction.
Yeah, Bob, I agree with you there. The other thing, too, is, the Steelers have kind of been stuck in this mediocrity bubble a little bit. Never a losing season. Cool. That's a cool stat. But 9-8 every year, 10-7, however you want to swing it. They're kind of stuck in this period of mediocrity, if you will, just in the middle. They can never get a solid draft pick because they never have a losing season. So it is kind of a win-win in a way if you look at it. If Rodgers doesn't come and you end up rolling out these two, one rookie and essentially a rookie because Will Howard hasn't even played a snap in the NFL preseason or anything. So it's a chance, I think, for a rebranding of the Steelers, maybe try to figure out that quarterback because look, let's face it, we have not had a franchise quarterback since Ben. We haven't. It's been a rotating cast of characters here in Pittsburgh ever since Ben retired. So to get an opportunity to maybe, coach some of those younger guys up and see if they have the ability to fill those shoes long term, I think that's beneficial. And maybe it might set them back, bringing back Rodgers again. I don't know.
That's a whole other universe, and yeah. I think it's a very valid point by you, Cassidy, but I just don't think we're going to be living in that universe. To get more to Bob's question or his contention that it's fine that Rodgers isn't around right now, let alone for OTAs, and we'll see about veteran minicamp. I would think he'd be in the fold by then because he was last year. Just trying to, I get that, Bob, but trying to see it from all angles, as I tend to do, I think the rebuttal to that would just be, you can be there and not taking reps and passing knowledge down to the younger quarterbacks, to the receivers who you're going to be throwing to come September and October when the games count and matter. You could be giving them pointers on the timing and how you want your routes run. That's just the devil's advocate take on it. But Mike McCarthy himself has agreed with you, Bob, that it's actually beneficial in some ways that he's not here because you're not compelled to give him reps, and it's more for Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Drew Aller to grow in their positions.
Yeah. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. We have Evan in Moon Township. Hi, Evan.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So, about the Aaron Rodgers thing that's going on, do you think he will stay with the team or probably not? And should they move on from him?
Yeah, like we've been talking about, honestly, all night, I don't know. It's a toss-up because I do see positives and negatives to both. Truly. I see Rodgers coming here, being able to coach up these young quarterbacks. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has a ton of experience that, he can share with these young bucks that are just starting their NFL career. So on that side of it, it does feel like a positive. But like we've been saying, there's a negative side to it, too. Does it set the team back a little bit? Does it not give these young quarterbacks an opportunity to go out and make mistakes and get those game time reps?
Yeah, Evan, I think he wants to be with the Steelers, but how much might come down to the financial part of it. Everybody has a price. He's a free agent, so he is free to approach this however he wants to as far as when he signs and the amount that he signs for. I think it'd be a different discussion, Evan, if there were other suitors out there who were interested in him. I don't think that is the case. I don't think the Arizona Cardinals rumors, speculation, dot connecting that people were doing last week really has any legs. So I think it's pretty much Steelers or retirement for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, guys, we're going to head to our last break. Give us a call, 412-575-2600, or let your voice be heard on our Question of the night. We will talk more Steelers and maybe some Pirates right after this. Welcome back to the Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood, joined alongside Brian Batko. We're talking all things Steelers and, of course, Aaron Rodgers. But, Brian, one guy I think is a very big fan favorite around here just because it was so emotional when he did get drafted, and that's, of course, Eli Heidenreich. He got drafted late on day 3 and waited the entire time at that draft stage to hear his name called. I get goosebumps every time I talk about it because it's just like the cutest story. Do you think that there's a world where he makes the final 53?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if he, is a Swiss Army knife for that offense, catching passes, they're lining him up in the backfield right now as a running back in these very early stages. So yes, and you put special teams on top of that, whether it's returning, kick or punt coverage, I think he can carve out a role. And what I thought was cool about today was it wasn't just Eli Heidenreich from Navy and Mount Lebanon. It was his high school and college teammate Alex Texa as well. They helped Mount Lebanon win state championship. What was it? I guess 4 or 5 years ago now. And Texa was there as a tryout guy, not as a draft pick, but might have been the last practice ever for them after countless practices together, going back to first or second grade. So that was pretty sweet.
I mean, that is so crazy. We should probably look it up. I don't know if there's ever been like a pair of teammates that have started together in high school, went off to play college ball together, and then start practicing with an NFL team in a rookie minicamp together. Yeah,
and it might only be 2 days for Texa, and he was very realistic about that. He's like, look, I'm just glad the Steelers called and gave me an opportunity to show what I can do. Maybe they'll sign him to a contract after this weekend. Maybe they won't. Usually 1 or 2 of the tryout guys get signed. But either way, if that was the end of the road for those two, how cool that they got to do it one last time for the team they grew up rooting for.
Oh my gosh, giving me chills all over again. I love it. Yeah, we will be paying very close attention over this next week, guys, because there will be some contracts that probably roll out as a fallout from this rookie minicamp. So definitely keep your eyes and ears peeled to see who makes this 90-man roster, the roster heading into the preseason. So crazy, Brian. Training camp is like right around the corner,
Absolutely.
Only 2 months away.
And so is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day
early Mother's Day to my mom,
Definitely.
mother-in-law, and of course, my wife, Chelsea.
Yeah, shout out Chelsea. I'm glad we snuck that in. Yes, happy Mother's Day. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I'll see you next week, same place, same time.